Life is a big school. We all have to learn.
After Gigantos was defeated, Gaia still harbored resentment in her heart and sought to free the Titans trapped in the earth. This time, she sent the monstrous demon Typhon as her messenger of revenge. As previously mentioned, Gaia's union with Tartarus gave birth to Typhon, an extremely ferocious and monstrous creature. He was so tall that his head seemed to touch the sky, his back was vast and immense, resembling a long river and sea, and his voice rumbled like a thundering waterfall. Furthermore, Typhon possessed the ability to speak all languages and mimic the sounds of all creatures. He could bark like a dog, sing like a bird, howl like a wolf, bellow like an ox, bleat like a goat, and roar like a lion. With just a spread of his arms, it seemed as though Typhon could encompass Europe and Asia.
Typhon, my dear son, it is time for us to take action against Zeus and his fellow Olympians. They have defeated our Gigantos and humiliated us for far too long.
Mother, I have been awaiting this moment for centuries. I will not rest until Zeus and his kind are destroyed.
Zeus's brother, Poseidon, approached him.
Brother, have you heard the news? Typhon has risen from his lair in the depths of Mount Etna and is wreaking havoc on the mortal world.
Zeus and the other gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus had grown increasingly worried about the monstrous giant known as Typhon. His strength and ferocity were legendary, and many feared that he would one day overthrow the gods and claim Mount Olympus for himself. Zeus decided that something had to be done about Typhon. He called a council of the gods and goddesses to discuss what could be done to stop the giant.
We must act now before it's too late. If we wait any longer, Typhon will become even stronger and more dangerous.
The gods of Mount Olympus knew that they had to stop Typhon before he could free the Titans and destroy them. They prepared for another intense battle. Typhon's head was not that of a human, but rather 100 heads of dragons, snakes, and other creatures, all tangled and writhing together. It is said that these were his fingers. He also had wings that allowed him to fly everywhere, and his eyes and mouth could spew fire and flames with ferocious, long tongues that could lick away everything. His body was covered in hard scales, similar to those seen on reptiles such as iguanas and crocodiles. He was extremely aggressive and cheeky, able to sneak and wriggle into any place, making him arrogant and confident. The gods of Mount Olympus knew that they could not defeat Typhon in battle. They had to come up with another strategy. They decided to flee, running all the way to Egypt, 33 gods in total, leaving the top of Mount Olympus. This was a sad fact and not a glorious one, but it was the only way to deal with Typhon. They couldn't fight him, they had to run. But there was one god who dared to stand up to Typhon, Zeus.
Typhon, you have dared to rise against the gods and threaten our power. Know that I, Zeus, ruler of the skies and lord of thunder, will not stand idly by while you plot against us. You will suffer the same fate as the Gigantos before you. Surrender now, and perhaps I will show mercy.
You think your threats scare me, Zeus? I am the most powerful being in all the world. I will defeat you.
The battle between them was fierce, thousands of times more terrible than any previous fight. Typhon unleashed fire to burn everything around him, while Zeus repeatedly struck back with lightning bolts. Typhon hurled stones and set fire, while Zeus also threw stones and set fire. The smoke was thick, the earth trembled and shook with each blow. The sky struggled in the dense heat, rising and rolling. The sea boiled and rivers, both big and small, went dry. Even the god of the underworld, Hades, trembled with fear in the depths of his prison world, and even Kronos and the Titans were worried. It was a brutal fight, and it is unclear who wins. The fighting continued, and it was difficult to predict how it would end, as both opponents were powerful and evenly matched. In a fierce blow, Zeus delivered a thunderous thunderbolt and saw Typhon stagger and fall. Zeus approached, intending to capture Typhon alive, but as he got closer, Typhon suddenly got back up and snatched Zeus' thunderbolt, using it to strike Zeus with a blow that seemed to come from the heavens. The sudden attack caught Zeus off guard and he fell to the ground, dazed. Typhon then took a knife and cut the tendons in Zeus' limbs, rendering him unable to move. Typhon couldn't kill Zeus because Zeus is immortal, but by tearing off all of his tendons, he turned Zeus into a powerless god, unable to move whether alive or dead. To make sure that Zeus can't move, Typhon put Zeus on his shoulder and threw him into a remote cave on the island of Sicily. Then, Typhon took the tendons and wrapped them in a piece of bear skin, giving it to the dragon Delphosne to guard. With Zeus defeated, Typhon could rest easy and enjoy his victory, which he believed was permanent and irreversible. All that was left to do was to free the Titans, as per Gaia's request. The situation was dire as the father of the gods and ruler of men was now imprisoned. The question remained, could the dynasty of Mount Olympus stand once the Titans were freed from Tartarus? How could they save Zeus now? Freeing Zeus was the only way for the gods of Mount Olympus to maintain their dominance over the world. The sons of Zeus, Hermes and Pan, realized this and undertook the mission to save their father. They understood that using force to deal with Typhon probably wouldn't work, and instead, they had to rely on cunning and strategy. They knew that Typhon was entranced by the music of the lyre and flute, so they told him they would make him a lyre string with the tendon of a god. Unknowingly, this tendon was none other than the one of Zeus, which Hermes and Pan then used to free Zeus from his confinement and restore his power. With the tendons of Zeus in hand, Hermes and Pan quickly snuck into Zeus's confinement and skillfully reattached his tendons. In no time, Zeus was back to full strength and ready for battle. This time, Zeus stood on a winged chariot and fought from afar, striking Typhon with lightning bolts and creating a dense grid of fire. Despite Typhon's attempts to fight back by throwing mountains, Zeus sent powerful storms that sent the mountains flying back onto Typhon. In the end, Typhon was completely defeated and Zeus emerged victorious. He returned to Mount Olympus, where he and the other gods celebrated their victory. With the power of his lightning bolts, Zeus was able to hurl the massive mountain of Etna at Typhon, crushing him beneath its weight and ending his reign of terror. The impact of the mountain's fall caused volcanic eruptions and earthquakes, shaping the land and leaving behind a lasting impact on the world. Zeus, victorious, returned to the top of Mount Olympus, where the other gods celebrated his triumph over the monstrous Typhon. This legend serves as a reminder of the ongoing battles between the gods and monsters in Greek mythology, and the ultimate power and authority of Zeus as the ruler of the gods. Zeus also releases the Cyclops and Hecatonchires from their imprisonment in Tartar and rewards them for their loyalty during the war with the Titans by giving them positions of power and authority. With the Titans and their allies defeated, Zeus solidifies his rule as the king of the gods and establishes the new order of the Olympian gods on Mount Olympus. The world is at peace and the gods can focus on their duties of governing and protecting the mortal world. The battles with the Titans and the subsequent release of the Cyclops and Hecatonchires are significant events in Greek mythology that solidify the power and authority of the Olympian gods and establish their rule over the mortal world. With the Titans and Typhon defeated, the Olympian gods were able to establish their rule over the world and bring about a new era of peace and order. Zeus, now the supreme god, was able to forgive the Titans and even allowed them to rule over a distant land, known as the Islands of the Blessed. The story of the battle between Zeus and Typhon serves as a reminder of the power and determination of the gods, and their ability to overcome even the most formidable of enemies.